Hey, Ron.
Alright, it looks like we have 8 o'clock. I will call the meeting to order. Can everyone stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Do we have any public discussion? I think so. Alright, next we will go to administering the oaths of office, and we will start with Amber Garman.
Okay, so. Hi. Well, thank goodness, I was hoping I got something right. Okay, so repeat after me, raise your right hand. I, Amber Garman.
I, Amber Garman,
Do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Iowa.
do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Iowa,
And that I will faithfully and impartially, to the best of my ability,
and that I will faithfully and impartially, to the best of my ability,
discharge all the duties of supervisor in the County of Kossuth as now or hereafter is required by law.
discharge all the duties of supervisor in the County of Kossuth as now or hereafter is required by law.
All right.
Congratulations.
We will sign it and then I will notarize it for you. The next one is Howard.
Alright,
Thank you. Okay.
we'll get a couple signatures there, and then Howard, he'll be
Who
up.
says Howard?
We're gonna do the signatures first.
Thank you. Sign there for me. Does, Ann
I don't
sign
need
it?
to sign it.
Alright. You have the second copy again, or you?
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
Oh, sorry.
This is your
Some
copy.
of those
That's
sign-ups
the
that
wrong
I like.
That's the wrong one. We were testing your memory. Okay.
We could've done a test and you could've just done it all from memory.
Yeah,
All right, you ready?
Yeah.
Raise your right hand.
Yes.
I, Howard Haas, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Iowa.
I, Howard Hawes, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Iowa,
And that I will faithfully and impartially, to the best of my ability,
and that I will faithfully and impartially, to the best of my ability,
discharge all the duties of supervisor in the County of Kossuth as now or hereafter is required by law.
discharge all the duties of supervisor in the County of Kossuth as now or hereafter is required by law.
All right.
And I'll have you sign right there. And
Next, Roger. I'll make sure to give you a copy. Thank you.
that's it.
Okay, perfect.
All right. Ready? You can do it.
I'm ready.
Okay, you've done this before.
Oh, yeah.
Raise your right hand. I, Roger Fisher, do solemnly swear
I, Roger Fisher, do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Iowa,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Iowa,
and that I will faithfully and impartially, to the best of my ability,
and that I will faithfully and impartially, to the best of my ability,
discharge all the duties of the office of sheriff in the County of Kossuth as now or hereafter is required by law.
discharge all the duties of the county, or the office of sheriff in Kossuth County as are required by law. You went too long there.
You got it.
I got it.
Sign there for me. No.
Oh, yeah, this one.
Yep. That one, yep.
Just the one line there, Tammy?
Just one.
Just had to get,
Yep,
yes.
thank you. And I will notarize after I.
Oh, Tammy, right here. You are.
Thank you.
All right. Ready? Okay, so raise your right hand. I, Tammy Eden, do solemnly swear
I, Tammy Eden, do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Iowa,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Iowa,
and that I will faithfully and impartially, to the best of my ability,
and that I will faithfully and impartially, to the best of my ability,
discharge all the duties of the office of auditor in the county of Kossuth,
discharge all the duties of the office of auditor in the county of Kossuth,
as now or hereafter is required by law.
as now or hereafter is required by law.
Right. Oh, you're welcome. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Thank you.
Perfect, thank you. Alright. Next up is the approval of the agenda and minutes. Is there any motion by Jarks? Is there a second? Second by Plath. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion carried unanimous. Next is the review and approval of claims. Is there any question on claims, or I would entertain a motion?
Motion to approve the claims?
Okay, I have a motion, is there a second? I'll second, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion carried unanimous. Alright. And then the budget status report that goes with those claims. Any questions on that?
Seems like we're doing alright so far this year. How are you doing?
Alright,
No questions.
next
Thank
is.
you, Tammy.
Next is update from secondary road foreman. Good morning.
Morning. Good morning.
What do you guys know today?
Clean things up. Can go brush cut it, but weather allows it, stuff like that, I will get to it and see.
I got Roger, that request you put in for Al Peterson, that hole in the ditch, you know just exactly where that was at?
It says right across from Custom Farm Service, there's a fence post there.
Okay. Yeah, I drove and I didn't see anything, that's what, there's some snowmobile markers for their flags. Maybe, I don't know if that's what he used, or, but I couldn't find
He
it.
told me it was fence post.
Okay.
I didn't go look yet, so.
You got his phone number?
Yeah.
Okay, text it to me sometime, I might give him a call, right?
Did you found that bent stop sign I sent you the one day?
Yeah, it was just, the wind was so strong, and
Yeah.
just wind that we straightened it back up, tamped the rock back in around it.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I think it's probably that snowmobile fence post.
Okay.
It said it was right across from Custom Farm
Yeah,
Service,
that's about
driveway about.
That's about where it's at, maybe just a little bit further east of there, but right in that area.
He said it's kinda in the back up slope of the ditch, not in the bottom.
Yeah, that's where the sign or that, so look at it a little further and see.
His original, what he told me, is in the ditch right away. But if it isn't, we'll have to make a difference, but stuff.
Alright, anything else for the foreman? how's the status of the junkyard on Highway 9? Did that get cleaned up?
All the appliances that were in the road right away were removed. There's still, a forklift and a combine that are right up against the road right away. And that's been there for quite a while. So,
Has there been any response or communication from the owner, and is he cooperating or how?
oh, he cooperated, yes, he got it cleaned up substantially more than what it was, so.
Okay. Anything else you guys wanna highlight?
Good.
Alright, thanks.
Have a good day.
Morning, Dan.
Good morning.
Come on up if you're ready.
If you're anything like me, you're probably not prepared for Christmas yet, but, my monthly update for the month of November, some of the metrics I captured, we had 27 phone calls coming into the office, I had 39 messages and emails, 24 walk-ins, scheduled 25 appointments, and 1 appointment outside of the office. We did 1 veterans transport and submitted over 70 different VA forms for claims. Currently, I'm tracking 1,237 records in the database for Kossuth County. I have 39 claims in the VA system right now that are open. I've got 9 that are ready for decision. I've got 18 that are under development that I'm currently working on. I've got 1 supplemental claim, and then was able to get 2 more healthcare enrollments for veterans. Recently completed some training on December 4th, the computer-based training going over the VA manual on how they arrive at certain decisions and actions to take. That was very beneficial. We did complete our District 5 training over here in the Election Center earlier this month. Yesterday, I spent the day with training and mentoring the new Assistant County VSO for Hamilton County. We got that accomplished. The snapshot there for the month of December in terms of awards, we had a grand total of $8,693 and 88 cents. Retroactive benefits, $4,560. Year to date, we're looking at, for monthly awards, in addition to $46,470.37, and retroactive benefits to those veterans, $156,827. I did include a handout in there for you on the Iowa Department of Veterans Affairs reimbursement accounting policy for that 3K that we were granted, so that's in there. I was able to find some information on military retirees, what that brings into the state. It's broken down by district, so I at least got it down to District 4. I'd have to take a look at that and do some math and see where Kossuth County shakes out on that, so I'm gonna try and figure that one out. Current things that I'm working on with Carissa, the continuity of operations plan for my office, so I've got that on my list. Still working on prepping for the quarterly report for you all in January. I've just about got my projections done, so Tammy will get my budget today. And drinking from the fire hose on VA rated changes for 2025. Major changes on how they're gonna rate certain conditions, primarily the mental health and PTS, also the obstructive sleep apnea, the digestive system, and then the hearing and tinnitus. Major changes. There's a lot of good questions out there as if veterans are gonna get their benefits modified, or if they're affected by those changes in ratings, or if there's gonna be a grandfather type clause. Right now, kinda hard to say. Don't really have a clear picture on that. But, subject to your questions, that's all I got, and that's my wrap for the previous month. I will be, putting together my calendar year metrics. I'll try and get that out to you, shortly after the end of this month for the calendar year. So you have a nice snapshot there, but, that's really all I got, guys.
Did you see anything with that travel or like the training stuff? Did that NACO course qualify, or do you know yet, or do you need anything else from me, I
I
guess?
talked to, my association president and the leadership team, and what they shared with me is it has to provide some level of CEUs. If it doesn't grant some type of CEUs applicable to my discipline, she recommended that I don't sign up for it because the 3K wouldn't be applied against it. So, that's the only unfortunate, I think it would be a great school, I think it's a good course.
Did you check with them? They might have I don't know if they have a number of CEUs or anything.
I could certainly ask.
Yeah, I don't know. I know there's a certificate and stuff that comes at the end, but I don't know if there's.
Well, I thought maybe there would be CEUs for ethics, maybe,
Should
you know?
be.
But I'd have to look into it a little more.
Yeah, no, I was just curious if you need anything else for that.
Okay,
No? Sounds good.
alrighty,
Any other? No? Thanks.
you betcha, have a good day.
Merry Christmas, Dan.
Alright. Nick, we got a resolution to transfer interest on opioid settlement funds.
Yeah, the county, receives funds for, and that might depend on you for some of this, for an opioid settlement, and Elizabeth said we need to be, paying interest to those funds. So what she said we could do, and I know a lot of other counties do this, is we just transfer out of the general fund that we received interest and put it into these opioid settlement funds. And she said I just needed to get approval to do that.
This resolution is to take care of the interest that's already in there, and then moving forward, it'll be in with the other resolutions you approve on a yearly basis, so that you don't have to do it separately, it'll just be in with the other standard resolution.
Okay.
I move to approve resolution 120124.
12/17/24/01.
Yeah.
Yep.
We got one number there.
Is there a second to that motion? Second by Jarks, any discussion? Alright, roll call vote please.
Plath,
Yes.
Jerks,
Yes.
Wactor,
Yes.
Nath,
Yes.
Stecker.
Yes, motion carried. Thank you both.
I'll get it transferred. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yep. Do you wanna give Doug a call?
You want to sign this for me, please?
Yeah, morning Doug Carter, we are ready for you. Oh, okay. That's fine, yep, bye. It'll be a few minutes.
Okay, well, let's take a 10-12 minute break, come back around 8:30 then probably, if he's gonna.
Well, he didn't say how few minutes, but
Okay, well,
yeah, 5 minutes maybe.
I guess whatever, yeah, take a couple minutes here, we'll take a short break and come back. I'll grab some water anyway.
Good morning, Molly.
Gather that topic.
This is our last reading of minutes of the year.
Yeah, she was her job. No, she was the one that did it.
So, not for information, so for, just for question,
Okay.
or I couldn't give you a straight answer. That's how much time you do with,
Way too much.
she's looking for an exit interview.
She's got her eye.
They're both
You can
here.
bring in as much as you want.
I've been told that one,
Yep.
lead out of the way.
Yeah. Yeah.
How's it going?
Good.
So they've been trying to find you a job for like days, or for weeks now, right?
Oh, yeah.
Are you allowed to get a microphone? Have you, eminent domain board, well, they're trying to come with all sorts of stuff.
Really?
Yeah, oh yeah, well, it's on the record, so, yeah. Find anything you like? Retirement?
I don't know. I haven't even thought about that yet. It's been too busy.
Yeah, he never really did say no to the eminent domain board.
No, he didn't. Well, what he did say was he wants at least 1 month with no meetings.
Well, if he was on there, he would still have 1 month with no meetings.
5 years.
Wow,
I don't know.
I don't think you'll have 5 years, not with this pipe.
Well, no.
That'll be a one-off occasion.
Good morning.
Jack, do you remember the eminent domain commission ever meeting, or do you know if they've ever met since you've been on? Coming up, I bet.
Yeah.
I'll have to get you guys, I'll get you and Jack next.
Okay. That's a short break.
Yeah, I guess, long enough I could get water, but not much more. Alright, Doug, are you ready?
Sure, yes.
Perfect, we're up to the pledge here.
Yeah, in, July of 2022, the state of Iowa, I guess all the counties in the state of Iowa except for 2, asked for, or, applied for a grant to, get safety plans put together. And our board of supervisors at that time did, approve a resolution to participate in that, grant application. We received the grant application. Now as part of that safety action plan, the safety funds, this pledge, formalizes Kossuth County's support of the strategies outlined in the safety highway plan for 24 to 28, and the overall vision of 0 fatalities on Iowa's public highways. So what the board would be saying is they're pledging to make roads as safe as we can. So I would ask that the board would approve of this, and then we can continue to move forward on that safety action plan process.
I would move to approve the safety action, strategic highway safety plan pledge. Is there a second?
I'll second your motion.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries unanimous.
Alright, and then if we can, you'll sign that please, Kyle, thank you. Alright, thank you.
Yep. And construction in the right of way?
We have, 2 requests, one we spoke about last week. Al Diven, requested to cross 420th Street. They're putting in a private tile. They have presented all the material, needed to the, engineer's office. And this is kind of a formality, we gave them verbal last week, this might have already been completed. But I would recommend that the board would approve of this request.
I'll move to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay.
Here you go, Tammy. Okay, and then the second request is from Interstate Power and Light Company. They are removing some overhead power and placing it underground. This would be on the state line. There is some tile up in that area that we're gonna have to work with them about, and we've already conveyed that to them. But again, I would recommend that the board would approve of this permit 124024.
I move to approve, is there a second? Second by Jarks, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion carried unanimous. Alright.
Alright, that is all the requests for construction in the road right of way. Get your signatures on those two, please.
There's that one.
Alright. Very good.
Yep, thank you. Alright. On to discussion.
I'm working on the budget, the Burgess, we talked about that a little bit, that did get cleaned up. Reddings are crushing gravel at Rothler's pit, they should finish up probably tomorrow, if not tomorrow, Thursday. We continue to converse and get work done on the FEMA, our office. Mowing roads, we're just about finished with that. And I was just talking with Scott, we're getting ready to start interviewing or getting some candidates for the Laverne position. And we need to talk a little bit with Bill about the Lakota position, so we're getting things going with personnel. And that's really all that I have right now.
Do we have any update on mechanic or any applications?
I have not received any applications recently. The last time we talked, we didn't feel that that person had enough qualifications. One thing I would like to visit with the board about is when we start budget workshops, is the possibility of increasing wages for both mechanics and operators. So.
Okay. Alright, anything else for us?
Not this time.
Have you requested anything for health insurance quotes yet, or do we have any idea when we'll get stuff?
We will be getting health insurance quotes in January, according to Michelle. Our monthly bills have not been consistent. They've been very high or very low. Overall, I think that right now we're going after the end of December, our balance will be lower than what it started with in July. So it's difficult to look at high-cost claimants right now because we're in a transition between with deductibles, so it's a little bit difficult, but I'm afraid that we'll probably have an increase in cost right now. I don't know if it's gonna be large, but I think that we'll probably have to, we'll probably see where their underwriters are suggesting to increase contributions.
Have some information on the stop loss and how that affected it.
That's hard right now because changing that, there's some people that are kind of in between everything, and that's what makes it difficult with high cost claimants, is there's the ones that are over the 35 and I think there's a handful that are over 70, so it's not, obviously, there's not gonna be as many people over that stop loss figure. So that's what makes it difficult right now, we're in a transition.
Can we see those updates, like, do you have access to that on a regular monthly basis, or is that something we just get from them on the
I can generate a
executives?
report, yes,
Okay,
of high cost claimants that
okay,
I could email that to the board.
yeah, that'd be something I'd be interested in to compare to last year. Okay, anything else from the board here for Doug?
While Doug's here, I'd like to say thank you for all of his help in the amended Buffalo Urban Renewal.
You're welcome.
And we had 26 new taxing districts, 189 windmills that we had to add, and without Doug's help and spreadsheets, it would have made it a lot more work for us. So everything he did to help with that is very appreciated.
Yeah, thank you both for getting that accomplished.
There's a lot of extra work. Yeah, I know Tammy was November, I shouldn't say Tammy, the auditor's office, but, there were other people as well. Luke Snyder was with his ability to pull information, but, yes, thank you. Thank you. Alright,
Thanks, Doug.
yeah, everyone have a good day.
You too.
You too.
Perfect timing, Mark.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that worked out. Alright, I think we're ready for the change order and pay apps. Those are in the folder. Did anyone have any questions on them? Guess I'd make a motion to approve change order 4 for DD 60 sub 4. Is there a second to that? Second by Jarks. Any discussion? Questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion carried unanimous. The next up following that is the pay app, which I'd move to approve as well. Pay app 3 for DD 60 sub 4. Is there a second to that? Second by Jarks as well. Any discussion, questions? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed say nay. Motion carried unanimous. We'll get those signed. We'll get a couple copies. Yep, perfect, thank you. And then hopefully Tyler gets here soon and we can go on to his report.
He is coming this morning.
Yeah. I called him when we went to break and said we were running ahead of schedule, so. pretty good clip, so I told him we'd be ready soon. I think he'll be here in a minute. Roger, you wanna talk about the HK 587 one quick?
Yeah, well, I haven't got a bid yet from Triple E, but I did talk to Reitzel, and, I told him we'd have to have an open hearing.
Public hearing, I was wondering that when it was right at 50.
Yeah, if it's over 50, and he basically said I'll bid it for 50, so you want to have a public hearing.
Is that a firm number?
Yes.
Okay,
So it'll just go in as a repair request unless Triple E gives me one that's cheaper than 50.
okay. That probably isn't that big of a district, is it?
It's 20% in Hancock, 80 in,
What's our total acres there?
oh, it's a big district. It starts
Yeah.
in Hancock County and goes clear over to, where Sweebles live. Gerald, you know where Gerald Sweebles?
Yeah, I know where the district's at, I was looking at the map.
Yeah, but it starts in Hancock and goes to Gerald Sweebles. That's where it dumps in the river.
It's gonna-
This is the only section of dredge that we didn't clean under FEMA.
Okay,
Because we run into a bunch of trees and they didn't,
All
at
those-
that time, the
Yeah.
landowner didn't wanna take his private trees out. Cause there's quite a few trees in the private right of way here that Schuchter's bought it and they're gonna have to take care of the trees in the private right of way. It complicates it.
Let me see if I can find it on here. 7,000 acres maybe?
I didn't look up the acres, I just know it's a big district.
I'm looking at the older 2019 plat map right now, it looks like it's about 7,000.
Which one, just, cause it was fine.
That would just be Kossuth. Okay,
This would be on the open ditch. Some of the acres wouldn't pay as much as others. I
yeah,
don't know if it's been reclassified or not.
I don't know either without looking.
I can't tell.
I don't know, I would bet probably not. I would think it might be cheap insurance to do a public hearing, just so that we inform everybody what bill's coming before they get it, cause that won't have any cost share with FEMA like the other stuff
See
would.
what Triple E comes back with first and.
You gotta see what Triple E is first.
Or just wait in general with it,
I'll keep margin for him.
okay? Well,
That's the one to start on it right away if he got it, so.
well, that's pushing the threshold right there, and we've
Well, if it's a
had,
repair, it doesn't matter, that's the difference.
I know, we've had other public hearings for, and that district probably should have had one for the other stuff with FEMA, cause that was over 50, but we didn't, but,
Well, that was split into different projects,
mhm.
different FEMA requests.
I don't know, I just think we've done public hearings for other things, I think this would be easy to do ahead of time, so we don't get yelled at after the fact. But
I leave it up to the board, I'm leaving.
that's why I say that. I mean, even an informal one, we wouldn't have to wait as long, but we could send a notice and do a meeting.
So if you're gonna do a meeting, then
It's a joint, yeah, it's a
you're-
joint
I'm gonna have to
district,
go
so-
back.
Then we need to get Hancock too, probably.
I'll have to go back to Rice to tell him to send a bid in and then a higher amount.
I'm sorry, I didn't quite catch that. Could you please say that again?
Is that your phone?
That's yours.
That's yours, Raj. AI is listening to you.
It is.
No, I get mine turned off.
So what do you want me to tell Reitzel?
I think for that, we,
Before making a decision, see what Triple E comes back with. And then,
so
Well, then I'll,
table it and see what we get for other prices.
Well, if you got Triple E, you're asking for a price, you probably gotta wait till
I have to wait until they give me their price anyhow.
they, yeah.
So then let's just table it till we get more numbers.
So I'll tell Reitzel to send a bid in of a higher amount.
Tell him to send a bid in, whatever he thinks is fair. I wouldn't, you can tell him whatever you want, but
Well, to be fair to him,
I mean, if another contractor comes in and says 65,000, well then we're gonna be leaning on the high side of Reitzel's quote. But if they come in at 40,000, then
I'll leave it up to you guys to figure that one out. I'll stop and tell Reitzel that he has to send a bid in.
that'd be fine. Okay,
I
just
just thought we'd
start
say,
with what you're doing and then we can go from there. Yeah.
Well,
we'll be ready for you, Tyler, if you wanna get set up.
perfect, we'll do.
Yeah. Well. Do we need a motion, or you just want notes in the minutes of what we talked about, or what do you guys think?
For the repair request?
Yeah,
Make a motion, wait till the two quotes come in.
okay. We have a motion by Plath to wait for the other quote from Triple E at least and make a decision from there. Is there a second?
Or do you wanna wait for both quotes to come in, isn't that what you said?
So you're gonna get two, we're gonna get two quotes.
Okay, we'll wait for all quotes to come in for this project and make a decision from there.
technically, you're gonna have to get one more quote.
We're gonna get two.
It takes three to go into a public hearing.
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
It only takes two quotes.
I thought the law says.
Is it 3 for an engineered project or?
I don't think so either. I mean, those are publicly bid and they're competitive that way, but I don't think there's a requirement for bids, is there? I'll second Jack's motion. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay.
Nay.
Motion carries 4-1. Alright. Yeah, Tyler, we are
Yes.
ready whenever you are. Otherwise we can do a repair request quick, yeah, I suppose. We'll give you a couple more minutes.
Perfect.
Alright, I have number 148, Lincoln 29, checking slow draining tile. And then for Derek Copen, and then number 147 is lead yard 13, west side of ditch, surface outlet needs replaced. And tile outlet's washed out, needs replaced for Derek Copen as well. We have a motion for those requests.
I moved to have supervisors take care of the request.
Motion by Plath, second
I'll
by
second.
Nath. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion carried unanimous. Okay, here's those.
Morning.
Good morning. We are ready.
Okay, perfect. I
drop those off first, hard copies of the report.
Thank you.
I'll project on here. And then we'll get to talking on the review of the drainage district number 4 and sub drainage district number 9, lateral 11, and the sub 9 main tiles. It's a bit confusing, or at least the nomenclature is complicated. And I will explain a bit once this map gets up. So there's been an ongoing discussion and issue with the drainage system of sub-drainage district number 9 of drainage district number 4. That is primarily this main up to there that we're looking at, more specifically for this review, issues through the land owned by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. There is 2 systems there. There is lateral 11 of drainage district number 4, and there is the main tile of sub drainage district number 9 of drainage district number 4. What is shown on this original map, this is the original from drainage district 4. So what's shown is the lateral 11 tile of drainage district number 4. At some time later then, there was sub-drainage district number 9 of drainage district number 4 constructed. And that has a main, which is the solid continuous line to this point and to the end, as well as a lateral 1, which serves a lower portion of that sub-district as well. And then the dashed line that exists on that plat is the original existing lateral 11 of drainage district number 4. There is what appears to me to be an error in having drawn the as-built plans, as there is only one line shown going through the ground in question, which is this area here, again owned by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, and we've been in contact about getting these repairs done with the representatives from the Union Slough. Though there is only one line shown, 2 have been found, and there is a note on the profile that notes that though during the construction of the main tile of sub-drainage district number 9, that wasn't constructed, an old tile through there was utilized to make that connection and be the 2 lines that are currently in there. That is this note right here. Those sizes then correspond to what was found in the field at the time of the televising report that examined the conditions of the system. The televising report has also been included in this report, and though I won't go through all of it, suffice to say nearly every line that was investigated and cameraed was, the camera had to be terminated early for debris, collapsed segments of tile, large amounts of sedimentation.
It's in very,
It's
very
my
poor
opinion,
shape.
it's very bad condition through that ground. It's shot. Something needs to be done, to get the capacity back for the system. I was approached then by the Union Slough with a set of plans that were developed by Ducks Unlimited for the replacement of, go to an overview plan, it's maybe a little easier. So Ducks Unlimited was contacted by the Union Slough to develop plans for the replacement of those two lines with one singular line that would have the same capacity, same or more capacity to handle what those two lines were doing. What is shown in green is approximately what the Ducks Unlimited plan presents for replacement of drainage district facilities. There's a spur to serve that lateral, as well as this main bit, which would be replacing the 24 and 18-inch tile that are through there with a 36, as well as making a connection to a tile line that was found coming from the north.
Can you put it in lower?
It's not going to be lower because the plan still connects to the starting points upstream and downstream. But what their plan does recommend, and that I support, is that it takes a deeper route. It avoids a lot of the pothole areas. I believe the intent, well, I know the intent of this is not only to provide the drainage back with its original capacity or more, and I'll get to the capacity analysis of this, it is quite a bit more for what they're proposing. But it's also to reestablish some standing water areas through the, what I'll call the hook of that original system that's now damaged, unfunctioning, and in the lowest areas.
So they'll go on the west side of that rise?
Yes. Yep. Yeah, it'll be closer to 169 than before, but that gains quite a bit more cover.
Right.
And allows for them to rehabilitate some of those wetter areas without impacting the drainage system. I've always held that whatever happens to these drainage districts, if entities want to create wetlands around them, as long as they're not adding expense to a district project or future district projects, the district shouldn't have an issue with that. So this is twofold. It gets that capacity back and it gets it away from any potential projects and any future wetness that may be encountered out there as part of those wetlands.
So this is gonna be solid top?
It will be, yes. Yep. And so in reviewing
And it should have a little bit better grade with a straighter route, shorter distance, right, Tyler?
I was just gonna get to,
Well, the grade should probably be the same if we put A and B together.
But the distance between the two
because it
will be
doesn't go
cut
so
down.
far, it is slightly,
Slightly better?
Yeah.
so it's slightly steeper simply because it's not as long.
Yep.
This is the capacity analysis of the full system. So starting at the outlet, all the way up to the end, and then the sections that we are concerned with. At the very lower end of that system, the The section that's served by the 3 lines, the grade of the system is 0.05%, so nearly flat. There's a 36 and 2/16. The system fluctuates as it goes, but over here is the combined cubic feet per second that system's able to carry. The portions that we are talking about replacing are, it's the transition between segments 5 and 6, and then you're looking at a sum of 7 as well on the very upper end of the US Fish and Wildlife. So the amount that we're really targeting to replace is this 7.86 cubic feet per second. When the conditions were examined to as constructed, so that's the as designed capacity. The as constructed capacity with the grades that are in there, because it's always, a lot of these hand dug in, they're different than what they were designed to. The capacity was 7.91, a little bit better. So really what we should be shooting for is what it was actually constructed to. What the plan proposes is a 36, we still don't have a great grade. It's a 0.06 as opposed to the 0.03. But what that provides then is 16.4 cubic feet per second. That would be, if it were able, optimally, it'd be able to run at that. Functionally, in this system, what it'll be able to do is the next best downstream segment. So because we're connecting to the 224s, you'll see that 7.9 cubic feet per second. So though it is a larger capacity, I would still consider this a repair, simply because it's not, the area of effect and the reach that has, and the ability for that increased capacity to get away, paired with the fact that there is going to be an attempt to reestablish wetlands, and to consolidate that into one line, we can't drop to a smaller conventional size and still get the capacity that we need. So it's really what's called for in the situation to replace those 2 lines with one new one. In coordinating with the Union Slough, they have provided what they've been awarded for grant money. Their suggestion, or what they have been authorized to do, is that they can spend funds to get the material if the district spends the money to install it. It's the most fair, to put it bluntly, it's the most fair cost compromise I've ever seen the federal government consider making. Especially when considering they don't typically pay, they don't pay their drainage assessments. So, with that being said, the breakdown here is for, let's see here, the materials and equipment. Here, the, as it's laid out, they have labeled it either grant or the drainage district. The G's represent what would be covered by the grant. The ask from the drainage district is in the KCDD. And then what Ducks Unlimited's portion would be. So that is the breakdown, and then from what that is what the ask for the project estimate is from the drainage district of not quite $143,000.
And actually, if those numbers all come true as they were estimated, they would be covering more than the district would be by a little bit, so that's, took a while to get to this point, but that's a pretty fair scenario.
If you
I
look
would say.
at what they are proposing there, for their portion, like, as Kyle said, it's not quite $100,000 more, but that's a heck of a deal to
And if
get
you
that
throw
much.
Ducks Unlimited in, it's almost double.
Right, oh yeah, right.
Well, that's good news.
So that's, that is.
I'll take a 60-30 split with the government any day.
That is the long and short of it. It's my recommendation that the district go to hearing, inform the district of that, but ultimately, coordinate with the Union Slough and with the US Fish and Wildlife, as well as Ducks Unlimited, to get this plan as they've presented it, approved and going through the system. This has been a long time coming. Those lands, deserve the relief, and I think they've been gifted a very good opportunity here.
Yep. Is there any questions from the board on this? Alright, and then I think the biggest thing for today is setting a date and time for a public hearing. Is that correct, Tyler?
Yes, yeah, that will need to be, it would need to be 40 days from the filing of the report. Notices will need to go out at least 20 days before that hearing. Marge, did you have any, had we talked?
You said January 28th, February 4th, possible dates.
Okay. I think those would be the absolute soonest. I'm available either of those days.
What do you guys think about 4th? Give it a little more cushion. Does that work for everybody? Okay, then if there's no objections, I would make a motion to set the date and time for February 4th, 2025, 9 AM here in the boardroom. Anything else for details on that? Alright, is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Second by Nath, any further discussion or questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries unanimous, we will have our public hearing on February 4th then. Thank you, Tyler, for working.
Thanks all.
At 9 AM, yep. Perfect. Give you that back. Alright. Next up is discussion with our auditor.
Okay, so our next meeting won't be till January 2nd, which is Thursday, first meeting of the year. So we have a lot of stuff to cover that day. It'll be a big agenda as usual. So we won't be meeting the next 2 weeks. Last week I gave you the eminent domain commission list. Have you guys had a chance to look at that at all?
Looked at it, I don't have a name yet.
Okay, because I'll need to have that prior to the meeting on January 2nd.
What is the criteria that we need to meet for filling that?
For his, I'm guessing he was considered, property value knowledge by reason of occupation.
Okay,
So,
so some type of a business owner or,
somebody that would know
that would deal with
property
land,
values
yeah,
because of what,
like a realtor or.
that's different, realtors are different.
Yeah.
Real estate or brokers are the other, or is another
Or
quarter, so that's separate.
Auctioneer,
Yeah.
I don't know,
Yeah. If you come up with any.
surveyor,
Yeah,
okay,
see if you can find someone and talk to Tammy if you got any ideas.
thanks Tyler.
Thanks, Tyler.
Yeah,
Merry
thanks,
Christmas,
so
Tyler.
same to you and yours all.
Yeah, let me know prior to the second, so we can get.
Maybe Tyler knows land values,
Yeah,
wanna be on the eminent domain commission, Tyler?
that would probably be a conflict of
Oh,
interest,
okay,
would be my
alright.
guess.
Well, this wouldn't be for drainage projects, so it might be alright. No, I'm kidding.
So, okay, let me know that when you come up with
I take
that. So that I can get that changed and that list updated, because on the second you also have to sign, the chairman will have to sign the letter that goes to the judge. So,
Yep.
we need to have those names completed prior to that. Also last week we talked about, the amended Buffalo Urban Renewal Area and TIF dollars. We will be receiving TIF dollars in 25-26. Between the original TIF dollars that we are already receiving in that and the windmill
Thanks
tips,
all.
thanks,
Yep,
Merry Christmas.
Jack, Roger, been a pleasure, always. Thanks, guys.
We're gonna be receiving a little over $500,000, projected from that urban renewal, so, there will be funds coming in on that for 25-26. And then, I think that's all I have. I think we're doing pretty good on the information for the January 2nd meeting. January 7th is retirement for Roger and Jack.
Yep.
Make sure to spread the word, Roger and Jack, if you need me to send that invitation out to anybody, please let me know. Otherwise, I think that that's all I have.
Perfect. Sounds good. Jack?
No meetings last week.
Roger?
Nothing last week.
Josh?
That's it. Did you add that all up?
For what?
You'll see.
Not yet, I hadn't.
Oh, it's kind of a surprising number.
Some ways yes, some ways no. But yeah.
That's 1 month.
Yikes. Well. That's why we talked about informing the public. Think on that for a minute. Yeah,
That's almost to the point where you described having a meeting.
It is.
well. Might need to revisit that and have further discussions about it.
It's not fair to one district.
No,
I think you're going to have questions when you send out the next
oh,
drainage assessments.
I know we will,
So what
which is,
behooves you to do some
yep,
mailing of letters to that district beforehand.
which is why we had the conversation about informing the districts previously, because, yeah, I didn't have a totaled up dollar, which this is recent, but I knew it was gonna stack up,
And then we're just starting.
unfortunately. And then when we go to send notice, we get more legal fees incurred because of that. You got any other ideas on further notification or communication?
to have the auditor do a spreadsheet, continual spreadsheet, attorney fees on that one drainage district for sure, and,
Probably for each case,
yeah.
if we got a
We're
handful
just
of
gonna
them,
have to start doing another spreadsheet.
yeah,
Tammy, what do you think?
Yeah, no, that's a great idea.
yeah.
It's getting to be too big a number.
And if we update that with each set of claims, it won't be so bad going forward, but catching up on the past would be a little bit of a task.
Yeah, it's shocking.
Well, and I don't think we've sent out any actual letters yet, but, that's maybe something we coordinate with getting a spreadsheet for each case and then send out a dollar figure with our letter of to date, this much has been spent.
That would be my suggestion. So I'm still getting calls on.
Even a postcard or something simple, yeah.
I still get calls on that open ditch project north of Bancroft on what FEMA paid and what they didn't pay, and there's still people that are questioning that, and we probably should have done a spreadsheet on what really was paid by FEMA and what wasn't paid by FEMA, and
Are you talking lateral 11 open ditch or the
No,
whole main?
drain 4.
The main?
Yeah, the main, cause nobody totally absorbs what happened.
And that's very easy to understand because it is very complex.
Well, but
To the point that it's confusing, it's complex, but at the same token, it's also simple because we've got a couple transactions where there's dollars from FEMA, and I mean, they're not small checks, so it's not like you miss them, but,
well, their point is
It's-
that FEMA, the $1,100,000 project, FEMA was supposed to pay 800 or something of it.
it was, and I'm going off the top of my head, but I wanna say it was 1.3 for construction. And the bad part of the reimbursements is that was based off of the dollars that were obligated from FEMA, cause you can only request up to 75%, and typically you can only request 75% of FEMA's 75%. So normally you can only get 75 of the whole piece. We got approval to go up to the full 75 of the whole project, but that's of the project as it's obligated, not of the project as we are paying for it. So hindsight being 2020, we should have fought the dollars that were obligated more in the beginning, because the dollars that were obligated were, I mean, for the lower half of DD4 or more, the dollars that were obligated were probably 5% or less of what we actually spent in those sections. That it wasn't even, their estimates were not even close. But then we had Bolton and Mink do estimates for about 3 miles up on the top end that we sent them the request for originally, but they didn't include in the documentation. So those sections have higher dollar figures for estimates, and they came in much more realistically, which is where it kinda averaged out a little bit, but we've still got to get the project closed on actuals, and that's what Leon had said from the beginning, is it all closed on actuals, so you have your report, you have your bidding and all that. It's sounded like it wasn't that big of a deal, but at the same token, understanding all the previous steps of the process now, if we had fought the original estimates in the beginning more, we would have had a bigger dollar figure to work with, so we actually could have had more money in the bank today than we currently do by a little bit, not by a ton, but we could have had a higher percentage that we could have requested in advance, which at that time, I mean, we had all sorts of things with drainage, and then, as we were dealing with the paperwork here, I mean, it was just chaos. I mean, how many others were actually hiring engineering firms and like full staff to handle this, and we didn't, and maybe we should have, but no one really knew the process. I mean, we had FEMA stuff from 2018, but even as a county, we hadn't been far enough through that process to know how it was really gonna work out in the end, or how to manage it. So I mean, I think we.
Small projects that we did in 2018, most of them we collected from FEMA before we did the project.
Yeah, and that's a lot easier to manage. I mean, this project was basically one on its own. It was not even comparable to anything else, and I mean,
The confusing part for me to explain is FEMA's not gonna pay 75% of the total cost of the project. Come close, but it's not going to.
yeah, it'll come close, and the only reason they really won't is they don't pay interest. And I mean, that's obviously, as we've talked about for some of these other drainage balances, that adds up pretty quick when you're talking $1 million plus project. So, I mean, yeah, we could have levied, or we could have sent out an assessment to the district for the cost of the whole project up front, and then they could have paid it, could have had no interest, and then when FEMA funds came in, we could have sent that back to landowners as a reimbursement, but I don't know that that puts anyone in a better position than they are now.
That's hindsight, but the problem is, it's very hard to explain to somebody what happened with that project if you don't have some kind of a spreadsheet in front of you to show them, alright, FEMA paid this much, this is what you expect to get from FEMA, there was this much liability in the drainage district before the project started. FEMA dollars paid the oldest waivers first, that's why none of this is, or that's why all this is confusing.
Yep.
To somebody that's digging into it. And
that's actually the hardest part to explain, is the liability that was there for the district before this project ever started. And the only way that I have found, after looking at that for hours and hours and days on end, is you have to go back to the original warrants when they were issued, calculate interest to the day they were actually paid and redeemed and the money came in, and then kind of do the backwards math to see how far those dollars actually go to paying off the old bills. And without doing those calculations basically on an individual warrant basis, you're not going to be able to correlate it, because that's how it functionally works in real life, is money comes in, the oldest ones are paid. So unless you replicate that on a spreadsheet, there's no way to track it.
that's why I said you can't explain it.
No, well,
The problem is, some people don't understand how the payments work. They don't understand, they think the county pays the bills and that's how it's paid. They don't realize that money has to come in from the drainage district first to pay those bills. So that's where it gets confusing too, is they don't understand that we have to have money to pay those bills. They just think a check is written by the county and that's it. So that's part of the issue too.
and I think just the bigger misunderstanding of the fact that we had 6 figures of a balance in multiple accounts that was collecting interest for years. No one can wrap their heads around that, and this was one of those drains that had that plus $1 million FEMA project on top of it. And it is very, all those things rolled into one makes it very difficult to explain.
Well, we
But-
could continue to collect on warrants throughout the project, we continue to have money coming in.
If we send out an assessment.
Right. And there was assessments that were sent out, and there was assessments that were paid.
Yep,
So, that's the other hard part to explain, why was this partial assessment instead of whole assessment then?
mhm. Well, this one, we could have done a $1.1 million assessment. And then when we get the rest of the money from FEMA, we would have had hundreds of thousands sitting in the bank account. So, I mean, the intent was to find that happy medium where we get, the bill should be taken care of, but at the same token, we shouldn't be sitting on $500,000 extra when we get done with this, so.
But my caution is in the future that you do a project on a drain that has a big outstanding balance in warrants that are not collected, that you do a spreadsheet before you even start and show it to the people at the meeting, that this is how much is owed to this district right now. Now, if we do this project, we're gonna add another $1 million to this project. This is how much that you will owe, and this is how much you plan on getting from FEMA, but we don't know. And that should have been clearer when we did the project.
If our assessments are current, we won't have that situation again.
Well,
If
they're
we're
never current though, cause you always got last year's assessments.
You always have last year's bills, but,
On that project, you had quite a few $50,000 assessments that hadn't been collected when we did the project.
$50,000 assessments that weren't collected, what do you mean?
Some of the repairs on that drain were not collected before you did the FEMA project.
Cause they were on waivers or?
They were still on warrants that were outstanding.
No, I think we're confusing about 5 different things all in the same thing there.
That's why I'm saying that, to me, that's how it worked, but unless you can get a spreadsheet and show what was paid at what time, I think I'm correct, you think you're correct, and I'm not. The dollar figures, it don't matter, but that's what I remember.
The district had an outstanding balance before that flood event happened.
Right.
When the rain came down and we had the presidential disaster declaration for 2019, the district had an outstanding balance before the event even happened.
Correct.
And that's where that stacked on top of the work that came later, stacked on top of it. So, to some degree, what you said, yes, but it wasn't one or two $50,000 assessments that weren't sent out, it was
Well, it
more
had to
than
be
that
quite-
prior to the rain
It had to
even.
be quite a big number, or you wouldn't have what happened.
If I remember right, and I don't have that spreadsheet in front of me right now, but I think it was a couple $100,000 that was still outstanding and not assessed prior to that rain event happening.
Right.
So yeah,
200 and some thousand.
it was a good couple $100,000 before the
Right.
damage even happened. So that's what compounded, and it all mixed in with the FEMA stuff, but.
Right, that makes my point, is that we should have made the people in that drain aware that they had 200,000 in outstanding debt before we did the project.
I don't know if we were aware as a board that they did at that time.
We should
have been, and we talked about that with all those public hearings, we should have been, but I don't think that knowledge was conveyed in this room. But I think we do have a plan in place for going forward that it shouldn't be an issue going into the future. So, I'm I'm pretty confident we won't have that again. Do you have any other thoughts on that, or things to watch out for?
That's the big one. 'Cause
It is.
caused a lot of heartburn to a lot of people.
Mm-hmm. Alright, I don't remember where we left off.
Josh?
Josh, did you have anything else?
How many, yeah,
Okay.
no meetings last week, but tonight we do have emergency management doing budget workshop, amendments, but a few other things to discuss.
Okay.
I had no meetings, just wanna say, been a bumpy road at times, but good to serve with both you guys and
Good luck.
yeah, best wishes on your future retirement,
Yeah.
or in Roger's words, as you ride a white horse into the sunset, so. So, yep, thank you, yep.
Yeah, thanks for your service there. Do you have anything else?
Nope.
This last week I didn't have any meetings, but I did loop Tammy in a little bit here, but with CIJDC, we've had quite a few conversations about our 2080 and bylaws, but I was cautiously optimistic that those questions could be answered and we could just get things put together and move on. And Hardin County had a different opinion on that. They evidently got tired of waiting for answers from getting things asked in our board meetings and failing to get responses. So their county attorney put together a petition and sent me a couple documents here this last week. I have not been formally served yet, but I'm gonna pull up his email so I can read his summary. He said, and this was on Friday, he said attached is a petition for declaratory judgment seeking a determination as to what counties are voting members, what 2080 and bylaws are controlling, and temporary injunctive relief halting further changes to the 2080 and bylaws until voting members are determined by the court. And one of those documents is 81 pages long. So, of course, first contact was our attorneys, which we had Allers and Cooney as an entity with CIJDC, because probably 75% of us around that table also use them back in our home counties. And very early on in the conversation, they said they would be conflicted out since they also represent Hardin County. So they said I would need to contact our insurance company and find other legal counsel. So I did that, and I got a letter yesterday from the company that, and I got some contact information for that. But the challenging piece of that is we can't have an executive committee meeting or full committee meeting to go into closed session to discuss the litigation until we have an attorney. And we don't have an attorney as an organization until we get someone appointed here. So, trying to wade through all that, but basically, at the end of the day, from Hardin County's paperwork and a little bit of my knowledge of the questions that have been asked, there are concerns that the 2080 is not valid and has not been valid for quite a few years, including a request from our executive director that went out to all the auditors here this last week, asking for stuff from 2018 and 2023, both of which we do not have either of those. So, this is a problem that stems back definitely before I was on the board, but it may go back as far as 2000, which would actually be before Kossuth County joined, because we were part of the organization in 2002. So, there is a lot of years in question here, and I think there's some deep-rooted concerns that, as I said earlier, have not been answered after a series of meetings where the questions have been brought up, so that's potentially gonna be a bumpier ride than I had anticipated previously, but, like I said.
We were a member way before I came on the board.
We would've been 2002.
got on in 2012, right?
So Boone, Calhoun, Hardin, Hamilton, Story, and Webster were the founding members in 9/03 of 93. Marshall joined 02, 04, 94. Winnebago was 07, 95. Green was 06, 11, 99. Tama was 01, 07, and 2000. Hawashik was 2 in 2001. Jasper and Hancock joined 12, 14 of 01. Humboldt joined 1, 11 of 02, and Kossuth joined 12, 12, 02. So we were in the first half of members,
22
but
years.
yeah, I mean, we're talking, depending on which version you go back to, we may not have a correct or legal document pretty close to the beginning of time for this
Well, we
organization.
always filed their reports. When I was on the board, we filed their reports.
Well, yeah, filing their like audits and stuff, yeah, but
And
the
we always
2080 is the foundational document that governs the whole organization, and those have likely not been filed and been completed in accordance with laws for quite a while.
That would have been Don McGregor on that board at that time, the first one.
Potentially,
I think Don was the first.
I mean, I have no idea who
Don
Kossuth's
was
rep
first,
was
and
back
then,
then.
Elsbecker, and then me, and then you.
Okay, so yeah, it would go all the way back there.
That's the history.
Okay, yeah, and I didn't know who represented for Kossuth, but we're talking potentially back to the beginning of when Kossuth joined, and maybe even before that things were, the boxes may not have been checked.
See, first it was across the road in that old building that's sitting there.
Yep. Yep. And then the new expansion, was that in 2008 maybe? I wanna say something like that if I remember right.
And then we
And
expanded
just did an
again and
expansion
again
here
and
this
again.
last couple of years. But yeah, we've talked about the 2080 bylaws the last couple meetings, and our executive director has been asked to review with our attorneys what 2080 bylaws is controlling, and as far as I'm aware, to date, they have not received the documents they needed to make a determination on that, which is probably why Tammy got an email this last week asking for if we had copies of stuff.
You still
But-
got Tony as executive?
Yep. But there's, like I said, there's been a lot of questions asked, and I was hoping we could get it resolved and move forward, but, Hardin County filed a petition, so we will be dealing with the court process now, I'm pretty sure. And I don't know if it'll go that far, but to have a conversation in closed session, which is where we need to have a conversation about litigation, we've gotta get an attorney, and with the pending litigation, insurance said that they would appoint someone, so. That's kind of been a whirlwind. And
Brought all this on.
what's that? The proposed changes to the 2080 bylaws are definitely a contributing factor there, but I know there was a couple members in particular that were looking into it here earlier this year after accusations from our executive director about multiple members of the executive committee. And when they started looking at the 2080 and bylaws, they found issues that, I mean, Lance with Hardin County, the ones that's suing us, he's been on that board 12 or 13 years, I think. So these issues potentially go back longer than he's been on there even, and he's one of the most senior board members on there, so kinda, but yeah, there's just been a lot of talk about the 2080 and bylaws in the last 6 months to a year. And then we need to update them because of the potential of Jones, Grundy and Fayette joining, and now that's all kinda in limbo, and there was talk at our last meeting of when counties were voted to be accepted as members at that commission meeting, whether they actually had voting rights then, or whether it was having voting rights after all the counties ratified it. And Tony said that we've always given them voting rights as soon as they were approved by the commission, but the one supervisor from each county there doesn't have the legal authority of their home county to actually act on that, so there's a lot of question marks that have been raised, but yeah, it's just kind of a mess right now that we're gonna have to sort through, and I'm not really looking forward to it, but I do know we've got a number of other supervisors and colleagues on that board that I very much respect and have good relationships with, and I've got people that I can ask for opinions and thoughts and support and all that from, so there's been a couple I've communicated with on this, and we'll try and work through the process, I guess, but
It's, saves the counties a lot of money, juvenile detention, so it would be a shame if it blew apart because of personal feelings.
well, I'm hoping we don't get to that point, but it sounds like these issues have been long-standing issues, and I don't really know why it wasn't caught before now, but we're gonna have to figure it out. I mean, even the ones Tammy was asked for of 18 and 23, those are relatively recent, but we don't have either of those either, so.
I don't remember ever doing a 2080 agreement when I was here. I don't think we.
Well, the one in 18 would've been right at the end of your time, cause I started on there when I was new, so that would've been at 19, and,
I don't remember doing
well, we're gonna have to get to the bottom of the paperwork some point in time. And with this many counties involved, it just makes things
that.
complicated.
Well,
What did I show the last one we did was 2009, is that what I said? It was a long time
Maybe,
ago.
yeah, it's been a while, so. I don't know, I'm hoping that we can work through this, but that is, I mean, the actual petition in the case is public record. They were talking, they had a article in the newspaper for, Eldora or Hardin County. They had a article in the paper about it already, so. That is what I have for an update there, even though we didn't have a meeting, but we will probably need to have some discussion moving forward, so.
I forgot to turn in one last mileage thing for each out there, so
You can always.
Yeah, just turn that in, that's fine,
today, and
yeah.
then, get that done before the end of the year.
That, well, it'd be
First
the
meeting.
first claims of the new year, that's fine.
Nick, cause we don't meet again, so.
Yeah, we won't have another meeting, but that's, I don't think any of us are too worried about.
No, I just didn't know if you wanted it done this year or the other.
Shouldn't make any difference, it'd be the same fiscal year.
Okay.
Alright, any other questions or discussion here?
Tammy lost her name tag on the front there.
They took it for a sample so that we could make new ones for
okay.
Howard and
Okay.
Amber, so they took the size and stuff so we could make the new ones, so.
Gotcha. Well,
It'll be coming back.
alright, otherwise, happy holidays, Merry Christmas.
Merry
Happy New Year to everybody,
Yeah,
and
Merry Christmas.
we'll see y'all here in January. Oh. So,
Sounds good.
I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion by Jark, second by Platt. That was a close tying, motion there. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion carried unanimous, 9:40, you're adjourned. Alright.
That's mine. Oh, that would be Amber's. That's Amber's.